Hey there, fellow adult collectors, welcome back. David Eon here with yet another by request showcase video looking at a vintage action figure. If you recall, if you've been watching the channel, you know that we did a couple of tours recently. We toured the toy museum and split it in half. We did one half LPH's side and one half my side, and showed the collection in better detail. And I had made it a point after the tours to let people know, hey, if you saw anything there that you've never seen before, that you're curious about, or something that you recognize that you'd like to know a little bit more about, feel free to let us know in the comments section, and we would add it to our showcases, because we do showcases from time to time of items from the museum. And this was actually our first request. I just did one the other day because a lot of people asked about it, and that was the 1/12 scale Knickerbocker 1981 Sesame Street action figures. I had the complete set and I showcased those, but this was the first one I believe that was requested, and we're taking a look at that today, and that is obviously the Durham's Kung-Fu action figure. It says Durham's fully jointed Kung-Fu figure, push button action, and that's something that Durham was known for, having a button on the back of pretty much every action figure that they made, that when you pushed it, either the arm or the leg would move. And fully jointed is a matter of opinion, because I'll tell you right now, this figure is only 5 points of articulation: shoulders, hips, and neck. And Durham is notorious for making some of the cheapest action figures ever made. And they primarily did this during the 1970s. If I'm not mistaken, this was produced in 1974. Pre-barcode era, obviously. And I'll show you the back of the package. And basically this is just instructions for how the figure operates. And it is mixed media. He is wearing real clothing. Pull right arm forward to position. Do not pull it back. Press the top button, arm chops automatically. And with the leg, I guess it's supposed to be pretty much the same deal. This particular figure has two buttons. You pull the leg back and you press the bottom button and he will kick. And this box is not sealed. The tape has eroded and faded away. As you know, that does happen often with these older figures, where the tape just dries out and falls off. But even though this is in a way that I could open it, I have to be very careful with opening this. As I've pointed out, Durham made some of the cheapest figures you can possibly imagine, and I mean cheaply constructed. He should be about 8.5 inches tall. I'm going to get into that whole construction issue and why it is I can't fully open this in a second. Let me just show you his height, which is closer to 9. It's actually 8 3/4, it looks like. 8 3/4 inches, and he's got a gigantic head. And I guess there's a little bit of a almost Bruce Lee kind of thing going on with the way that his face looks. Wannabe Bruce Lee. Original price $2.17, and that's a key, so that should be Kmart. And then the clearance tag, which someone tried to remove, $1.57 is what he eventually sold for. So very inexpensive. And despite the fact that the Durham action figures are very poorly constructed and poorly thought out action figures, quite frankly, the artwork was always really good. That's some decent artwork on this box. The carded ones, the carded figures, of which I have several, have some of the best card art I've seen from the 70s. So they were paying the artist. Maybe that's why they couldn't afford to construct the figure well, because these are notoriously badly constructed figures. happily chopping some boards there. Everything here to me says karate, not kung fu. Looks very karate to me. Now, why this can't be fully opened, and I'm going to open the bottom flap and I'm going to show you. Getting into packaging, you know how when you have an action figure back in those days and even now, they strap the figure into the package, and they usually use a twist tie and they put it around his waist, maybe around his neck, something like that. Well, Durham didn't want to do that, and to save money, they hot glued him to the inside of the package. Yes, you heard me correctly. This figure is hot glued to the inside of this package. And I'm going to open this flap and I'm going to show you. So if you've ever seen this figure, and I don't know if I can really demonstrate it that well because I can't open the flaps. His feet are literally glued to them. I'm going to try to open it just enough so that you can look in there, get the light just right, and you can see what I'm talking about. Can you see his foot? You see how even the cardboard is like shredding a little bit and it's kind of stuck on there and discolored. If you ever have one of these figures and he had melt marks on him or rough spots or he's sticky or bits of paper are stuck to him, now you know why. Durham, to save a couple of pennies, rather than strapping him in, glued him to the inside of the package. And yes, that is his hand stuck to the bottom of the package, because there's another problem with these figures. Part of the reason why they were so difficult to get rid of even on clearance. You see on his left hand how that's barely in there, and obviously the right hand is completely off. It's hollow. The forearm is hollow, and they squirted hot glue into that hole and then inserted the hand and then packed and shipped these, and it never occurred to them that it was going to expand. So by the time it got to wherever it was going, all the hands were kind of hanging off. I mean, you could pull that out and probably pick the glue off or scrape the glue out and then reinsert that hand, but seeing this on the shelf with the hands swollen and hanging from gobs of hot glue like that one is, or just not even there, and you shake the package and you don't hear anything. It's like, did the hand fall off or did they just not put a hand on him? And you don't hear nothing because it's stuck to the bottom of the box with his feet and probably his back also, because I've seen them with glue marks on the back of the clothing fabric. So they took a lot of shortcuts and produced a really, really craptastic figure. Craptacular. You choose your descriptor. And, you know, I still love the figure. I have a bunch of Durham stuff. I have a bunch of Durham figures. I've showcased a few in the past. Like the Young Kung Fu Chop, I've done a showcase on because Durham got in a lot of trouble for that figure because it is a legitimate bootleg, and they got in trouble with the producers of Kung Fu with David Carradine for the production of that figure. And I've showcased the MASH figures as well. MASH, the movie, not the TV show. The MASH figures that were produced by Durham were for the movie, not the show. And I do have some others, and I've actually had some requests along with this one. I have on the list my Durham Disney Safari figures. Yes, believe it or not, Durham actually had legitimate licensing at one point. But anyways, what do you think of this? Are you into these kind of cheesy action figures? I know a lot of people, they love the weird and obscure 70s and 80s action figures and toys. And I happen to be a fan of poor old Durham. And they're efforts to cut as many corners as possible, and they sure did cut a lot of corners with this one. But once again, you know, I am a huge fan of box art, and the box art on this is pretty decent. I gotta give him that. So what are your thoughts? What do you think about this? What do you think of this action figure? Tell me what your thoughts are in the comments section down below. Did you see the tour videos that we did within the last couple of months? Was there anything there that you wanted to see a showcase of? Let us know. The list is pretty long, actually. We got a lot of requests, but I will eventually get around to it. It's not going to happen bang, 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 but I will eventually get to every requested item on that list. So let me know what your thoughts are. Please do give the video a thumbs up if you got something out of it. I hope that you did. Share it if you can. Subscribe if you're new. Check out some of our other videos. We do a lot of nostalgia on this channel. We don't just do showcases and tours. We do discussions. We show vintage commercials. We do virtual tours of Toy Fair catalogs. Lots of things going on here. So please do join us. And what more can I say? But thanks for watching. And we will see you again soon.